Hello. Double O Stash here, with my partner, Average Moneypenny Fan. And welcome to another episode of The Men with the Golden Hyphen. The show where we murk dudes with third nipples.
Listen, man, at least we have a decent theme song on, like, fucking Never Say Never Again, which we still need to fucking review, by the way.
Look,
we
man,
never did get to that.
One of the ones we're doing has a theme done by Sheena Easton. They ain't all good.
I know, but we still need to review Never Say Never Again at some point. But anyway, guys, I'm Average Joe Squad.
And I'm Zon Gets to 134.
Welcome to Remember the Hyphen. And
welcome back to another episode of the James Bond Retrospective. We're sorry it's been like a year. The show.
Someone's gonna put this shit like side by side. You're gonna be like, watch Colton and Adam age before they finish the fucking Bond series.
Like, one of them I didn't have. I had just a mustache. Or no, one of them I had a full beard.
God forbid if we ever start reviewing MASH season by season, because we're gonna be here when we're like 80, fucking finally hitting that finale.
Listen, if we do MASH, we're not doing every. I'm sorry. That's a lot of.
It's a lot of shit to watch.
Yeah. But yeah, so, long story short, the only reason we didn't get to doing more of these is it's been kind of a packed year now that we've actually gotten Marvel content to review. Not a lot of DC yet because, man, DC just keeps fucking up.
Yeah.
I almost wanted to do a video about that, but the anniversary was just around the corner, so we had to do that. And I think that was a much more pleasant review than us just sitting in the car like this talking about Warner Brothers.
Sell all my Warner Brothers stock. I got an insider's tip that Bugs Bunny is about to die.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm also sorry there's a bit of a gap between, but I always like to have a little bit of a gap with the anniversary so a lot of people can watch it. I am surprised it got like 31 views in like a week. It's pretty good for us.
People love talking about DiCaprio being a fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Listen.
I still don't understand why you all keep watching The Death of Joan DeWolf. There's like 140 some views of that shit.
Because ain't no one else gonna talk about it. That's why.
I guess that's fair.
It's out of print. It's
yeah.
rare as fuck anymore, I'm pretty sure. I don't know when Marvel's ever gonna reprint that shit.
Probably never, unless they decide to just have like the complete Venom saga. And they're like, we're throwing that in there because it technically counts. So yeah, getting back to what we're actually reviewing, the James Bond retrospective. So we're finally once more back into the good Bonds with Roger Moore, probably my third favorite Bond, behind Brosnan and Connery, of course. And basically, I want to say he actually got the role because he did like a spoof of James Bond on like some like UK like comedy show or something along those lines, and MGM really liked him. They had him come on for a movie, and he did 7 of them, same as Connery. In fact, I want to say both of them are the longest running Bonds, I think.
Yeah, I actually believe it is. I think Moore is actually the leader. Hold on.
Well, no, technically it'd be Connery because he, counting.
Give me a second.
Unofficial.
Okay, he's got 7. Yeah, 7. So I guess they are. Yeah, they're tied. If you don't count Never Say Never Again, I guess he leads by 1. But that actually I take that back. You know who is the longest running Bond? I want to say it's the guy that did the video game voices for most of the Brosnan era. I mean, that's also fair. Because he was straight up in like every game up to a point.
Which is also funny because he's the villain in Die Another Day. Which is weird, but so I like the Moore era. Like, it has its, in my opinion, probably the biggest lows of the franchise.
For me, I'll just come out and say straight up that while I like the Moore era when it comes to Bond, I feel like this was the point where the movies got really fucking goofy in some spots.
More towards the middle and end of Moore's career.
Yeah, like especially like early on, it was almost like they didn't really know what they wanted to do. It felt like.
Yeah. And to be fair, none of that goes against Moore, because I think Moore does a great job as Bond.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially because they're trying to make him less of a sexual harasser than Connery's Bond. Well, that's not on Connery. That's just how he was written.
I love the scene where he makes out with himself. Straight up.
I know. You love bringing that one up.
It's fucking funny. It's straight up so fucking comical.
Yeah, I want to say that, like, that scene is what kind of set the tone for pretty much every later Bond, was the goofy shit that happens in Moonraker. But no, I love Moore's Bond. I think this is where we get the more classy Bond, where he's much more...
Wait, did you just say that scene was in Moonraker?
It wasn't Moonraker, wasn't it? Or no, that was Diamonds Are Forever.
I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck are we talking about?
That was Diamonds Are Forever. I don't know why I said that.
What are we talking about?
That wasn't in Moonraker. What the hell am I talking about? We're gonna... Oh my god, I'm sorry about that.
Sir, have you been drinking this evening?
No.
I'm gonna need to see that license and registration.
No, I'm sorry, I don't know why I did that.
I'm gonna need to see that license and registration.
I don't even know why I did that. Oh, you know why I did that?
Why?
Because in Diamonds Are Forever, he rides around that stupid moon rover thingy, and I always get those mixed up because I forget that that's in Diamonds Are Forever and not Moonraker.
That's fair.
But yeah, like I said, I like especially because a couple of my absolute favorite Bonds are in here. And I think you and I will probably agree which ones are the best ones in here.
Oh, I'm sure.
But I will admit, this is where I think most people, GoldenEye set the... Or GoldenEye. Goldfinger.
We haven't gotten to GoldenEye yet, sadly, because I love that fucking movie.
That's the other thing. There's like 3 different movies that have gold in the title, so I get them completely mixed up.
Octogolden.
Oh god, if I do that,
Octogussy. There you go.
If I do that, I'm gonna tell you, I'm probably stroking out. Jesus, I don't know. I'm not on it tonight. I'm sorry.
The man with the golden gussy. Live and let gussy. We're gonna just straight up run that joke into the ground.
Die another dussy.
For your gussy only. All right,
on Her Majesty's Secret Gussy.
All right, get back. Wait a fucking minute. Okay. No time to dussy.
Yeah. But yeah, like, Goldfinger set the traditional, like, more or less the format for a Bond film. These movies eventually just ran that into the ground, particularly in the gadget area.
Yeah.
Like, because this is the same era where Bond drives a car underwater,
which is still fucking wild. But like that straight up actually leads into whenever we get to the Dalton ones, where that was kind of a response to that, where they were trying to make it like a little more gritty, a little more realistic, a little more grounded.
Because for the record, I don't mind him having gadgets.
It's just like within fucking reason.
Yeah, like he doesn't need to have like hundreds of gadgets.
It's not Batman.
Yeah. Or for that matter, like, maybe not make the Aston Martin always have like 1,800 gadgets that barely do anything in the movie. Or do stupid shit like serve chilled champagne. But yeah, this is also the franchise where we basically say, or part of the franchise where we basically say goodbye to Blofeld for a while in Spectre, because more about the
that was after the lawsuit was going on, with that eventually led into Never Say Never Again actually being able to be made.
Yeah, which eventually lands with a scene where Bond drops Blofeld into a chimney in this, but they never say his name, nor Spectre. It's also especially weird because this is also the same series that brings up his wife a couple times. And it's probably the last time we'll ever see them bring up the wife until Casino Royale, where they kind of do it again, but it's not the same one. But, so yeah, do you have any, like, notes before we begin talking about these movies, or?
I'm going to straight up say that if we're really going to go into
the theme songs, this era's got the two standouts, in my opinion. You got Live and Let Die by Paul McCartney and Wings, and then you've got Nobody Does It Better by Carly Simon. Like, I think those are undisputably the two best theme songs.
Yeah, I would probably say so as well.
Of the entire series.
Yeah, I would agree. I also like View to a Kill's theme, but that's more because I like Duran Duran. I know you don't like Duran Duran, but
No. I don't like 80s music, you know that.
No, it's fair. But like the other I will admit, why I do agree with you, it also has some of the worst ones. Again, For Your Eyes Only by Sheena Easton is terrible.
Fucking terrible.
Like, it's such a like quiet, like underwritten song that does not fit for James Bond. Also, Moonraker's opening is fucking horrible.
I think the only one that's worse is the Never Say Never Again one, because it straight up is complete ass.
No, that's fair. But so yeah, I can't think of anything else really that before we really dive into the movies. So yeah, let's just dive into them. The first one is Live or Let Die, aka James Bond goes to New Orleans, and there's some questionable stuff with
Sergeant Pepper.
Well, not just that, but casual 70s racism.
Oh, listen, we I've read the book.
Yeah,
one of the chapters is straight up has the N-word in it, hard R.
Yeah.
So listen, we got a little better than the book was, not by much though.
Well, because the problem with this film is
it didn't age well.
Yeah, it has voodoo in it, and unfortunately, when you do voodoo and New Orleans, you get a lot of African American stereotypes.
Well, Domino was supposed to be played by a black actress, and they weren't going for that.
Although we did get to have an on-screen romance scene between Bond and a black woman, which I think is like a kind of a first for the franchise, I want to say.
Yeah, but like I said, Domino was supposed, because in the book Domino is a black woman, and here she's played by what is her name? Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. I can't remember her.
That's who that is?
That is the same actress. Yes, that is the same actress.
You're pulling my chain.
No, I'm being dead fucking serious.
Holy shit, I did not recognize
listen, the first
her.
time I watched it, I was like, oh my god, it's Dr. Quinn!
She's very young in this. I never recognized her.
Jane Seymour. That's who it is.
That's Jane Seymour.
That's Jane Seymour.
She looks really good. I mean, she doesn't look bad later, but
yeah, so
I did not recognize
she would have been. She was born in 1951, so she would have been 20-something?
Wow, okay.
Or like late 20s, early 30s?
You learn something new every day, I guess.
Yeah, but I appreciate you knew who I was at least talking about, where I was like, no, it's Dr. Quinn.
No, and I'm like...
I was waiting for you to be like, wait a minute, you know that fucking show? I'm like, I've seen all of that.
Listen, man. You have told me shows that I could not believe you've seen. That one is the least...
I've seen that. It's a historical show. It makes sense.
Well, that too. You also could have told... Like, unless you're telling me you fucking sat through every season of Touched by an Angel and loved it.
No, I've never fucking done that. And it ain't never gonna happen.
I sat through it and I didn't care for it.
I think the only one that really shocked you was that one time I was like, man, I've seen all of Dawson's Creek. And you were like, fucking what? I was like, I own all that on DVD, bro.
You talked about that and how your dad likes Beverly Hills 90210. It's just in your genetics.
I mean, straight up, my dad was... I came home the one time, my dad's like, well, I'm like, what are you watching? He's like, I'm watching Breaking Bad. And he finished that, and he was like, I'm like, what are you watching now? He's like, I'm watching Orange is the New Black.
I mean, if you're Orange is the New Black is actually pretty good.
Yeah, so like, listen, my dad just straight up watches shows, so...
Yeah, but,
I got him to sit through all of Veronica Mars,
yeah.
So...
But, Domino is okay. I could do without the fortune-telling thing, because I don't care when they bring up supernatural stuff in the Bond franchise.
Which, granted, that was in the book. That is actually straight up taken from the book.
No, that's fair. It's just that, like, I'm not a big fan of them adding supernatural stuff into the Bond film, and thankfully, I think this is, like, the only film that does, like, straight-up supernatural.
Well, listen, man, Live and Let Die gives us the greatest fucking scene ever, which is... Actually, two things. Well, it's the fact that the vehicles in this movie are fucking AMC cars, which is just hilarious as hell to me, because I love AMC cars. But like, no, The fucking alligator.
Oh yeah, when he runs across the alligators, I forgot about that.
Straight up fucking hilarious to watch. And I think he actually wore leather alligator leather shoes. I was like, what? Damn.
Yeah, which, fun fact, there's a comic, it's really bad, from, I want to say it's Gen 13. One of the characters tries to actually do that, and she gets her pants ripped off, like, from the butt, and she's like, how come that never happened to Roger Moore? And I'm like...
But no, other than that, in terms of being a first outing, I would say it's not bad.
Yeah.
But it's certainly... It didn't age well in a lot of respects, and to watch it now, I almost feel like the pacing is real slow in some parts.
Yeah.
But I would say it's not a bad movie. I mean, certainly Moore was in worse stuff.
Yeah,
over the course of this series.
I also think Moore hadn't found his footing yet in this film, because he does try to kind of play it like Connery.
Yeah.
In a couple of scenes, particularly that scene where he tricks Domino into sleeping with him by pulling the lovers card out, and then he starts splitting the cards while they're making out. It's all the lovers. I may have stacked the deck in my favor, which I'm like, thank you. But again, the other thing for me is the villain in this is just lame. I want to say his whole thing is he wants to get people hooked on heroin or something like that.
I think so. I love the ending on the fucking where he's on the front of the train.
Oh, that
shit is funny.
The voodoo priest.
Dude, that is straight up like, I know it's not supposed to be funny, but it's straight up fucking hilarious.
Because if he tried to attack Bond at the end of this, he straight up died. Like he tried to fight Bond again, Bond straight up capped him.
But like I said, this in my opinion, this has definitely one of my favorite Bond theme songs, which is "Love and Let Die."
I also love the way he kills the main bad guy in this, where he like...
Oh, he blows him up like a fucking balloon.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is this shit?
I was like, what the it's so gory for like...
I'm like, it's like 1972.
Yeah, no,
what the fuck's going on?
Well, it's hilarious because it's an obvious model that they're blowing up.
It's still just like the implications.
Yeah.
Like, what? Well, it's actually worse in the book, because in the book,
I don't know how it could be worse, but go on.
Well, no, like his original plan to kill Bond and Domino, and it was like he tied him to a boat and he was gonna drag him along the fucking the ocean floor until there was nothing left of him.
Gotcha.
But like I want to say that the way he dies in the book is fucking worse. Let me double check real quick.
I also have to admit the sets in this are really good. Like we've got some really interesting.
Oh yeah, we have
sets.
some very scenic things.
Wait, also, isn't this the movie that...
Yeah. In the book, he's killed by sharks and barracuda.
Oh, that's
almost kind of tame, actually, compared to... I blow him up like a fucking balloon, and then I pop his ass.
Until he explodes.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, I'm like, so many inflation fetishists were born that day.
Yeah.
Is this also the one that opens where, like, someone's watching, like, a Mardi Gras parade, and the dudes in the parade just straight up stop what they're doing, shoot the dude, put him in a casket, and just keep going? Which I'm like...
Yeah, so...
How did we get here?
Yeah.
But no, I will admit, I think it's a good one. It's one of the ones I don't mind coming back to. And like you said...
I like listening to the song.
The song's really good, but... It's a little goofy. All right, what's the next one?
Man with the Golden Gun.
One of my personal favorites.
Fucking Christopher Lee's in it. Like, come on. And the fucking the little person from fucking Fantasy Island.
Yeah.
I feel bad. I don't remember his name, but that's straight up what I know him from is Fantasy Island.
Now, admittedly, the plot in this film is very kind of minuscule, but I love the idea of Bond going up against another assassin who straight up just wants to kill him because he wants to prove that he's the better of the two of them.
I'm straight up fucking looking this dude up. Okay, his name was, and I'm gonna butcher this. I apologize in advance. Hervé Villechaize? I believe.
That'd be Hervé Villechaize.
I believe that's France. That's French.
I think that's French.
Yeah, It's like, and he was on Fantasy Island.
Yeah. Well, no, trust me, we all know, because if you've seen this, you'd be like, oh, it's the little guy from Fantasy Island.
The plane,
boss, the plane.
A show you probably wouldn't be able to make nowadays.
Well,
I don't know if you'd be able to get away with that.
They've remade that show a couple times.
Yeah, but
they don't have the.
I know, that's what I'm trying to say.
Oh well, yeah, but like, That's one of those things you can write.
It's like my mother the car. You ain't gonna make that shit nowadays. Which, yeah, that's a real show. Look that up.
Yeah, this also gave us, of course, one of the most beloved weapons in all of video game history, the golden gun.
The insta-kill weapon.
Yeah. But yeah, I really love this movie just because it's really cool to see Bond go up against someone who's just as capable as he is.
When I love the way he defeats him. He tricks him by pretending to be a mannequin.
No,
that is by far one of the greatest end sequences. Is that?
You know what's bullshit? They don't play the Bond theme after he ices the dude.
That is kind of bullshit.
No, they should have been like like how do you not do that? You should have like you.
It's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, when Bond ices this dude, it should because and again, that scene is kind of dumb because like how the fuck did you have time to put that suit on and get it off the dummy? But it's still so cool. I don't give a shit. But no, like I love this. I love this film. It again, like the plot's very minuscule because really Scarlamanga's plot is just to basically get Bond to this island so he can kill him. And it really is really fun. And like again, the set pieces at the end are really good when like Scarlamanga's chasing him around the island.
Yeah.
I also really love the stuff with guns they do throughout this. Like the part where he gets the information from the guy by like threatening him with the gun he made for a dude who has like I want to say he only has like 3 fingers, so that the dude can use it, and he's like threatening to shoot this dude. Although admittedly, it has probably one of Bond's dumber moments where he's trying to pull a bullet out of a belly dancer's belly button, and he swallows it.
I forgot about that.
That part was dumb.
That scene's bad.
Also, probably has one of the worst Bond girls in like any of them. Because literally her whole reason for being here, old Holly Goodnight, is just that she wants to sleep with Bond real bad. Although admittedly, I do love that scene where M's trying to talk to her. Good night, sir. I'm like, oh. But no, I love this movie. And Christopher Lee plays a great Scarlamanga, although he's not like the right nationality but that sadly happened a lot with Christopher Lee back in those days.
Fu Manchu.
Yeah, the Castle of Fu Manchu.
We should review that at some point. That'd be kind of fucking funny.
Trust me, dude.
I know, it's boring as fuck, but listen, me and Doug could have fun with that.
If Mystery Science Theater could not make that film funny, and they made a lot of bad films funny, I don't know if we got it in us to do it. But no, like I really like this film. Like the only problem I have with this movie is that like there's not really like a huge plot to it.
Yeah, like this is one of the ones I probably revisit the least, but it's not that it's not good. It's one of those ones that like I don't see a lot of people ever playing it.
Yeah. Although I figured you'd like that history stuff about the them having a secret base on that boat that's like capsized because it's based on like actual history of world history. I want to say. You know that part where they talk like they have like a base in like Hong Kong or something like that that's like an old British boat that like it capsized during like I think World War II or it's some war, and it's like everything's like sideways.
Give me a second. I
figured you would know a little bit because it's. I guess I've got the wrong movie, but I'm pretty sure it's this one. But no, and also, admittedly, the theme song in this is not super. It's one of those ones where they.
It's the Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah. Which I'm sure is not actually how that would work, but
Caught fire and capsized, wreck partially dismantled between 74 and 75, rest buried under land reclamation.
Yeah.
I actually have never heard of this.
Yeah.
But
no,
the actual name sounds familiar.
Yeah, no, it's based on a real boat. But like I said, the idea of MI6 making it into a secret base despite being like tilted really makes no goddamn sense. But it's really funny. Yeah, this is definitely one of the ones I would recommend. Like I said, it's just fun seeing that. The stuff with the golden gun, which I also really love how the golden gun's actually broken up into pieces. And they're all like ordinary, like normal looking weapon or like normal looking stuff. Like one of them's a cigarette lighter, and he puts them all together. It probably couldn't shoot at all, but it looks really cool. I'm honestly surprised they've never made that, like, they've made, like, a replica of that to sell.
They have.
Oh, they have?
They have done that, yeah.
I wouldn't mind getting one, because, like I said, I love that thing. But, yeah. Do you have any other thoughts before we move to the next one?
No, like I said, it's one of the ones I don't really watch all that much.
Then, let's move on to the next one, which is...
The Spy Who Loved Me.
Ah, yeah. Once again...
The undisputed classic of the era.
And probably Moore's best film. I don't think anyone else could deny that.
Has the second best theme song from the era, and Nobody Does It Better by Carly Simon.
Yeah. A very interesting story where basically the film opens with Bond countering like a Russian plot, like, because I want to say this one's very Cold War centric. Bond dealing with the Cold War, shocker.
Yeah, big shock.
Wait, isn't this the one where he shoots a dude while skiing?
Yes, that's the beginning, and he like leaps off the cliff, and he's got the parachute and shit. It's the Union Jack.
Yeah. Which that shit was awesome. I actually loved pretty much most of the winter fights that Bond has, because most of them are really, really good, even if they are goofy.
Yeah, the cinematography on this was very, very excellent.
Yeah, this one's one of the fun ones, which unfortunately eventually leads into a plot by, I forget the name of the villain.
It's your favorite one? You forgot the villain? What the fuck's wrong with you?
There's like 50 of these, my dude. Or like 20 of them, 25 of them.
Oh my... Karl Stromberg.
Yeah, he's like a German
megalomaniac.
Yeah, philanthropist. But yeah, he wants to build like an underwater battleship.
Planning to trigger World War III and destroy the world, then recreate civilization underwater.
Yeah.
What the hell one were you thinking of?
I don't want, I mixed some of this up with Thunderball because it kind of has like the similar plot where they have like an underwater base.
Oh yeah, I can kind of see where you're coming from, but yeah, no.
No, like I said, they get a little jumbled up in here.
Jaws shows up.
Oh yeah, this is the first one with Jaws, who's honestly not really one of my favorite. Like, I like him, but like
he's okay, but he's kind of a little bit overrated.
Then he's a little cartoonishly powerful, like. And I know, like, Bond's gone up against dudes who are like powered by steroids or like has like genetic modification, but like Jaws is just a dude with a big metal jaw, or no, not he has metal teeth.
Metal teeth.
I'm mixing that up with James Bond Jr., where the TV show where they just give him a giant metal jaw.
You're mixing everything up tonight. What is wrong with you? You've been drinking.
I've not been drinking. Goddamn.
How many martinis? Shaken, not stirred.
But no, like. I mean, granted, like, I will admit that scene where Jaws murders a shark by biting it, pretty awesome. But unfortunately, when we get to the next film after this, we'll see why Jaws' popularity was kind of his undoing. Also, it's probably the absolute best Bond girl ever with Agent X.
Anya Amasova?
Yeah, Anya Amasova. Or Agent Triple X. Subtle.
She was cast only 4 days before the shooting began.
We're basically her boyfriend, who is also a secret agent, because more or less she's basically like a female.
Oh shit! Fun fact: she's married to fucking Ringo Starr.
No, really. I bet Ringo likes to bring that up. There's like, my wife was a Bond girl. Top that, Lennon.
On one of my best friends, he wrote a Bond song.
Yeah, top that, Lennon.
Jesus.
But basically, Bond kills her boyfriend, who's also a secret agent, and she wants revenge on him but the thing is, this is Bond we're talking about, so she also wants to bang him at the same time. And that more or less makes up for what I meant, like, what probably would have been a really generic plot, but really works because there's all this stuff between the two of them. You know, basically a romance built between the Iron Curtain. Because I think you would agree with me that like that really is what makes this movie work really well.
Yeah, there's a lot of tension.
Yeah,
but it's not. It doesn't feel forced, you know. And it's unlike a lot. some of these movies, they put that tension in there, and it either feels really forced or it just straight up is like, it just doesn't work. Whereas I feel right here, there was enough chemistry between Bach and Moore that it worked really, really well.
Also, why I prefer a lot of times for the Bond girls to be secret agents as well, is because they should probably be as good at action as Bond himself, just to make. Because really, like, how often do you care about a Bond girl when they're not like really in on the action?
Yeah.
Like, unless they're like a scientist or
pussy galore.
Yeah. We're getting there.
You must be joking.
You must be joking. You know, they don't really have.
Yeah, we've already been there.
Yeah.
We've already been there.
No, I know. I meant because you said pussy galore. I was thinking Octopussy.
No, we haven't got there yet. We get there when we get there. That movie sucks. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But no, like I said, this movie is probably the best Moore movie. Probably. Okay, I wouldn't say it's as good as From Russia with Love, which is my absolute favorite, and probably the best Bond film ever. But, which I know people argue with me that it's like Goldfinger.
I was gonna say Goldeneye, but
I know you'd say Goldeneye, but a lot of people would say Goldfinger is like the best Bond movie ever. Which I'm like, it's not.
I'll argue that.
But no, I like this movie a lot. It has really good action. And I'll admit, like, I like the stuff with Jaws, but at the same time, like, he's also still a little goofy in this, even though I know the next film is when he gets super goofy. But no, like I said, I think that one is definitely one of the better ones. Your final thoughts before we move on?
I definitely think out of the Moore era, it's certainly the best one. The script's real tight. The action is good. The cinematography is good. The acting in it is superb. All around, it's without a doubt the best one of this era.
Yeah,
like hands down.
Yeah, like so, I do think this tops gold or The Man with the Golden Gun for me, but that's just because it's so good, and again, does really one of those ones where it's really good having like a Russian spy working with Bond. But sadly, I can't say that about the next film. Because basically Star Wars came out at this time. Or no.
Yes, it's 79.
Okay, it was 79. Yeah, okay. And MGM was like, do that. Which brings us The Spy Who Loved Me in Space.
Which I'm like, the fuck?
Yeah. Moonraker, which
is apparently Natasha's favorite Bond movie. If you watch Black Widow, which I'm like, damn, you could have picked a whole lot better ones.
Out of all the films you could have picked. Probably because it's the only one that doesn't slander the Russians, I guess. But, no, straight up, this is just The Spy Who Loved Me in Space. Which is weird, because I know there's a book for this one, but it's
totally different.
Yeah,
I've read it.
Yeah.
It is totally different.
And didn't they use the plot for a different Bond film? Or the
whole plot of the book is that there's a new nuclear missile that they're going to test, but it's being sabotaged, and it's going to come back and hit London, and Bond has to stop it. That's a pretty generic Bond plot.
I think I might have, because I know one of the books there's basically the plot of Die Another Day, but it's not called Die Another Day.
I can't remember which one that is. I haven't gotten to that part yet.
I almost thought it was the actual Moonraker book but
no, it's not.
Fair enough. Like I said, that was just me, because I have knowledge on Bond. I just can't reach it tonight for some fucking reason.
He's drunk. It's okay, guys.
Will you fucking stop that
with the drunks?
We're in the car, for God's sake. Some cop's gonna decide to watch us. Be like, well, looks like I'm gonna have to arrest the Duke boys. I can get away with that because I live in rural Pennsylvania.
Yes, Duke boys.
But the plot of this film, and it's so weird. A space shuttle by the name of Moonraker, which this is the plot. This is what starts the plot of this film. And we almost completely forget about it for most of this film. It's literally what the movie is titled after.
It almost feels like at a lot of points, like half of this movie was already done, and then they went back and added shit to it.
Yeah. And basically it gets stolen, and MI6 believes it's this famous industrialist tycoon who, spoilers, is evil.
Shocker.
The rich philanthropist is evil. But, watching this movie, I can kind of see where, the guy who founded SpaceX might have gotten his plans from this film.
Moonraker.
But basically, Bond's supposed to find this space shuttle. And to make a long story short, Bond goes into space. This, I think, actually started the trend of characters you love going to space. Actually, no, that would be
That was way earlier.
No, that was way early.
That was the moon landing.
That was actually, I think this was actually towards the end of the characters going to space thing.
Yeah.
Until the 80s when Star Wars reinvented everyone's love for space, and we started getting space westerns and shit. But yeah, because the bad guy's plot in this is he wants to put a nerve toxin into the atmosphere that will kill everyone except the people he has on his spaceboard or his space station, like he's Noah, so that he can restart the world in his grand image, which I'm like,
The fuck?
did someone watch an episode of Doctor Who? This is like something I'd see on Doctor Who. Only Doctor Who would do it way better and for half the budget. Okay, quarter of the budget. Okay, an eighth of the budget.
But Adam, how else would we get the thrilling conclusion of Jaws' storyline where he finds a female Jaws and they fucking blow up or go off into space?
Well, no, yeah, because they survived because Bond's like, no, it re-entered. They'll be fine. I'm like,
the fuck?
no, that's
no.
not. This also is this is also the movie where Bond fights a rubber anaconda in one of the worst effects, which is a shame because most of the sets in this are great. Like even the space station, it's one of the coolest space stations ever. But man, the film ends with like the British military going up into space and fighting with laser guns. And a scene where Bond reenacts the trench run from Star Wars, where his targeting system fails. He has to blow up something.
Imagine if we'd been alive back then and gone and seen this shit in the theater. You and I both would have been like, what the fuck?
No, and to be fair, that was for most of people that went and saw this, because this is like one of, if not the worst Bond films ever made. Like, once you get past the premise, like, this movie is a mess. Like, not just like that, but like tonally. Like, we've got scenes where like Jaws tries to kill a woman by biting her like through the jugular, but then like he stops because a Mardi Gras parade comes through and he starts dancing with her, and I'm like, why do you care? And then we also have a scene where one of the women Bond slept with gets outed by her boss, and he murders her with dogs that chase her into the woods and rip her apart. Like, what the fuck? Like, this movie is very tonally whiplashy like that.
Which leads me to believe, like I said, they had part of this film and they redid stuff.
Like, although, I will be fair, there's some actually kind of cool scenes. Like, I like that scene where one of the bad guys traps Bond in that G-force generator, and like it's gone, and like they took the safeties off it, so it's going so fast it's gonna kill him. So Bond has to like use the dart thing in his watch to destroy the hydraulics in it, so it'll stop. Like, I actually really like that scene. It has like surprising amounts of tension despite being kind of cartoonish in a way of killing him. And I like that. I love that scene where with him and Jaws on the gondola, because that was all done practically, and it still looks really good despite the end of it where Jaws smashes into it and comes out like a Looney Tune cartoon. But then you got stuff like Bond tricking one of the ambulance drivers who's actually one of the bad guys by having his Bond girl like make like passes at the dude so that he can get himself free long enough to beat the shit out of the guy. And then they race down a hill on like the gurney, and the dude gets murdered by slamming through a 7-Up sign. Because this movie was funded by 7-Up, and they want you to remember that.
I don't even know if it really was.
Well, given the huge sign, I'm like, gee, I sure could go for a 7-Up right now. Right, that's not even like the worst product placement I've ever seen. At least it's just a billboard. It's not like Power Rangers 2017 where Rita eats a Krispy Kreme. And yet people still say she's really dramatic and scary in that film. But yeah, it's a really whack movie. Do you have anything you want to add, or?
It's definitely one of the more whack. Whack is a good adjective for it.
Because like again, this movie's called Moonraker, and almost nothing.
We never once raked on the moon. What the fuck is this shit? I feel ripped off.
And again, the opening song is so fucking weird because it's talking about how the Moonraker is this spaceship that's gonna make love to you and shit.
Which I'm like, no, fuck out of here.
I'm like, okay, you didn't even need that on the nose with the opening.
The over the topness of this movie is really what leads us into the next one, which is more of a trying to take it back to the roots and be a lot more grounded. You know, be a lot more like practical and really based in reality, which would be For Your Eyes Only, which has one of the worst fucking theme songs I've ever fucking heard.
Yeah. Now, what's the plot of this one again?
Again, it's one of the ones I barely ever watch.
Yeah, I will admit I don't. But yeah, this is the one where like the gadgets don't work, and he basically has to rely on just his gun, right?
Give me a second, I'm looking it up. I haven't seen it in like years, dude.
That's fair.
And the plot, Bond attempts to locate a missile command system while becoming tangled in a web of deception spun by rival Greek businessmen, along with Melina Havelock, a woman who seeks to avenge the murder of her parents. Some writing elements were inspired by the novels Live and Let Die, Goldfinger, and On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where it's kind of generic sounding just by the...
Yeah, it's very much, like I said, they really took it back to the roots for this one in terms of, it sounds like legitimately like any Bond book or any Bond movie, really.
Yeah.
Like, if you were going to ask someone what's a really stereotypical Bond movie, this would kind of be the plot you would get.
Yeah. I don't even remember the bad guy or anything in this, so I think that says enough about our recommendation for this.
Well, for me, it really represents, like, okay, like, they had it way, way over the top with Moonraker. This is almost too laid back.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't really, like, meet in that nice middle that, like, Spy Who Loved Me really nailed.
Yeah. Where, it like, yes, it's a little over the top, but, like, you still get the Cold War espionage that you're looking for.
Yeah.
The next one is...
Octopussy.
Oh, right. The one with
straight up, I'm sorry, I know there are people who defend this. This movie straight up fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Compared to Never Say Never Again. Which is sad because that movie is also not really that fucking good.
AKA, this is the movie where Bond dresses up like an actual fucking clown.
Yeah, which... No, this movie sucks.
There's
no defending this.
The love interest's name
is Octopussy.
The pussy. Yeah.
Which, granted, there is a book named Octopussy, but it's called Octopussy and the Living Daylights.
Yeah.
It's like... too literal.
Also, this movie's about like a fucking tribe of Amazon women who run a circus. Like what?
Yeah, it's...
Like, I can't even remember the rest of the plot.
It's straight up just not very good.
I just remember him dressing like a clown. I want to say this is also the movie where he like spin jumps a car with Sergeant Pepper, and it plays like a xylophone, or no, it plays like a slide whistle noise as he jumps through.
Sergeant Pepper's not in this.
Sergeant Pepper's... okay, I know... Okay,
You're thinking of Live and Let Die.
Okay. Which is also pretty...
Yeah, you're thinking of Live and Let Die, where he jumps the AMC over the river.
Yeah, and it plays the... Which I'm like, come on!
Yeah.
You couldn't have played the Bond film for the theme for that?
Yeah, you're thinking of Live and Let Die.
Okay. Which, to be fair, these two are so goofy and weird. You can... They kind of mix together. No, this one's so dumb. And Moore says it best when he meets Octopussy. 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 Like,
he's just like, I'm getting too old for this shit. And Moore really was. He was
yeah.
getting too old for this shit.
No, by this point, he
was starting to show his age a lot.
Yeah, especially because, like, in the next film, the actress is, like, very obviously way younger than him. And, it's starting to be like how, like Connery started looking like a dirty old grandpa. Although, I will say, I don't think Moore looked like a dirty old grandpa, but, like...
We get the analogy.
Yeah. Well, no, I just remember that scene in Diamonds Are Forever where he's got the cigarette tray just sitting on his chest. I'm just like... That's really gross. But, yeah, do you have anything to add for Octopussy?
Like I said, this is one of those ones I will straight up just not watch. Like, to me, it's not a good movie. It's not enjoyable. The scene... He dresses like a clown. What more do I need to fucking say? I would straight up rather watch Never Say Never Again infinitely more, and that movie is also admittedly not that fucking great.
Which is fair. I'll take your word for it. I mean, granted, I will have to watch it.
We are going to review that at some point.
But, yeah. I guess we might as well just get into Living Daylights, which... Well, admittedly, I like the theme.
Which, granted, I'm gonna tell you straight up, I've only seen it once. I didn't like the movie. I know Walken is the villain in it, and that's kind of amusing, but...
It also has that really famous... the one actress from Conan the Destroyer.
Leslie Jones?
Yeah, Leslie Jones. Who I admittedly met, I actually liked as as a henchwoman. She's very, very good, aside from that really uncomfortable scene where she, like basically goes dominatrix on Bond.
Grace Jones. Grace Jones is that woman's name.
Yeah, Grace Jones.
I had to look that up because I was like, I know I'm not saying that right.
Which really, I liked her in Conan the Destroyer because she was at least interesting as like a sidekick for Conan.
I just wish that movie wasn't PG.
Yeah, I just wish that movie was not PG because then her and Conan could have been actually murdering people in that film. But this is the one where Christopher Walken is a bad guy and he wants to sink California into the ocean with earthquake machines. Well, he wants to set off neutron bombs and the California Great Fault that would eventually cause California to slide into the ocean. Even though that's not actually what would happen, it would just
that dates this.
Yeah,
quite a bit.
Because for the record, that's not actually how that works. It would just California would no longer be a part of the continent. It would be very devastating for the people that lived on California, but and even then, earthquake faults don't work like that. Yeah, here we have a view to a kill. New James Bond.
I really hate this street sweeper. He's fucking made 15 passes in his damn parking lot.
He really wants to be a part of Remember the Hyphen. Don't be upset with him. Yeah, this movie is... I also think this is where the Bond franchise starts to start needing a new coat of paint real bad. Yeah. That it wouldn't get until the 90s. Mainly because I think spy thrillers were just kind of starting to be kind of like...
Well, and I think really, they had really kind of wore the thing out at that point. They hadn't really done all that much that was new. Kind of like what I hinted at with when we were talking about For Your Eyes Only, was that they were trying to do what they had done already.
Yeah.
And people didn't want to see that. People wanted something to push it. I think the only thing is by the time they did do something like that with Living Daylights and License to Kill, people had just kind of written things off almost.
No, I don't think people were ready for the
really more serious and dark version that Dalton had.
Yeah, which sadly I hate giving this movie any sort of credit. The Bourne Identity really was what showed that spy thrillers could actually be taken in a more serious direction. Granted, I'm not the biggest fan of the Bourne Identity or the Bourne movies in general.
Oh God, it's Jason Bourne.
Which people always talk about how that's peak spy cinema, and I'm like,
dude, any of the Bourne movies, they're fucking boring as fuck. I'm sorry, they're boring as fuck.
The first movie's okay, but they get just as goofy.
Yeah,
that scene where the guy goes, "Christ, it's Jason Bourne." I'm like, Yeah, I guess we are kind of at this point where
that's a fucking meme. I'm sorry, that is a meme. Is Jesus Christ is Jason Bourne? I remember back in the day, man. Me, Colin, and Brian were fucking saying that shit on fucking Call of Duty.
No, I like. Well, then the other thing is that every Bourne movie is the fucking same thing. It's just the government wants to kill Jason Bourne. He murders a bunch of people, and then he disappears.
Yeah.
If I wanted to do that, I'd just watch John Wick because at least Keanu Reeves is fucking entertaining in those movies. Or I'd watch The Kingsman. But no, like I said, he said, this movie's very, very bad and just, it's almost Goldfinger goofy, like especially with Walken, who is just, and I love you, Chris. You're a great actor, and I love when you just decide to just be a weirdo. But man, you are not a good fit for a James Bond film.
Yeah.
Also, the Bond girl is way too young looking in this. Isn't this also the one where Q invents like a remote control car with a camera?
I can't remember.
Yeah, because
I've only ever seen it once.
Yeah, because it goes up the stairs and
once was enough.
And it catches Bond banging the chick at the end in the shower, which I'm like, all right. It's certainly not as bad as how in like Moonraker he literally bangs the chick in 0 G's. Well, although that does have my favorite line from Q.
He's attempting re-entry.
But no, like, I also will admit I do like the stunt they do with the fire truck with Bond like clinging onto the fire truck ladder and stuff. That was kind of cool, but yeah, as the more ones go on, they're not like, at least like with Moonraker, it was comedically bad, and I don't even really mind.
This is just bad.
This is just bad. Like, there's like nothing too Octopussy or Living Daylight or View to a Kill. They're just what movies would you recommend?
Spy Who Loved Me, Live and Let Die, Man with a Golden Gun.
Moonraker if you're in the mood for just laughing.
And I would say disregard the rest.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Like, would you say that like that Moore's downhill is a lot more evident than say Connery's?
I would say yeah, but at the same time, I don't think it was his fault. I would say it was definitely, they didn't know what the hell they wanted to fucking do.
Yeah, like,
and so they kept, because like it's very evident. Like I was looking through the list and they were showing the directors like they traded off directors like a fucking hat.
Yeah.
So they were obviously searching for something that would be sustaining, and it was like they couldn't find it. Really, is what I think the problem was, and then it only continued with the Dalton movies, and I really think GoldenEye is what saved the franchise at that point, because then it was kind of, they had the formula, they had all the pieces in place.
Yeah. And I think it helped that they had to compete more in the 90s with like Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
And like other spy stuff that was going on. Especially because like in the early days of the Bond films, I have seen some Bond knockoffs. Some of which again have been on Mystery Science Theater 3000. And they are bad. One of which actually stars Roger Moore's brother, pretending to be the brother of James Bond.
Is he Jimmy Bond?
No, he's not Jimmy.
He's not Jimmy Bond.
Oh, we should
into the Bond verse. There you go. Multiverse of Bonds.
No, Connery's brother was straight up in a Bond knockoff called Danger Death Ray, which
I've
was like,
seen it.
Yeah,
it's on YouTube.
It's not very good. Again, it's a Mystery Science Theater movie for a reason. My favorite is when they try to do something really cool and epic, but then it completely falls flat, and Crow goes, "Da-na, da-na." But no, I think that was one of the bigger problems, was that Bond had no competition back in those days.
So there wasn't really anything to compete against.
Yeah, they didn't want to push anything because they already had like a formula set. But come GoldenEye, we have Mission Impossible, like spy thrillers that were much more like realistic in tone. like the Manchurian Candidate and all that stuff. And by that point, the Bond movies had something to go against. Until eventually they started not knowing what the fuck to do. Come around Tomorrow Never Dies. Well, actually, I would say more around like The World Is Not Enough. But
let's get into ratings. Out of 10 as usual, Live and Let Die. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 martinis.
Yeah, I give that a 7. I give it a 7 out of 10.
Man with the Golden Gun. I'm gonna give an 8 out of 10 martinis.
I'm gonna give it 8.5 third nipples.
Spy Who Loved Me. I'm gonna give it 10 out of 10 Russian nuclear submarines.
Yeah, I'd say it's a 10. I'd say it's a 9 out of 10.
It's definitely one of the more perfect Bond movies.
It is definitely one of the more perfect Bond movies. I don't know if it beats out From Russia with Love for me, but
yeah. Moonraker. I'm gonna give it 5 out of 10 space shuttles.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. 5 out of 10. That movie is so
tonally weird,
and make it just. Oh yeah, we forgot to bring up the fact the reason they make Jaws so cartoony is because kids love Jaws, so they wanted to try and make him more kid friendly because they wanted to make a spin-off with him.
Jesus, you never cater to kids. I'm sorry, it's a bad idea. But anyway,
that's just weird in general. I'm like, why are kids watching these?
Yeah.
I say being a kid who used to watch these.
Yeah. For Your Eyes Only, I'm gonna give it 4 out of 10 broken gadgets. To me, it's just very forgettable. Maybe I haven't watched it in the right mood or the right frame of mind, but to me, it's you and I both. We could barely remember anything about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this a 3. Like the plot sounded generic just by what they described in the Wikipedia page.
Yeah. Octopussy, I'm gonna give it 2 out of 10 circus clowns. I absolutely fucking despise this movie.
I'm gonna give it a 3.
I'm gonna have to be brutal with it.
I'm gonna give it a 3, but only because I think the next film is worse.
Oh, I think they're both on it. I'm actually gonna give View to a Kill. I'm gonna give it 2 out of 10 Golden Gate Bridges, because I both of these movies I just straight up don't like them. To me, like, they're not enjoyable to watch. I almost feel like it's a chore to sit through them.
Yeah,
again, View to a Kill, I've only fucking seen it once.
I'm gonna give it 1 out of 10 walk-ins. Like, that walk-in is like one of the only things that kind of redeems this film, and he ain't doing very much.
Yeah, so
sorry this kind of ends on kind of a bummer, guys, but that's kind of the case with this era of Bond.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the next time we do a Bonders, but it's obviously going to be shorter because there's only 2 movies for the Dalton era.
Or 1 if we're just going to do Never Say Never Again.
Well, Never Say Never Again, we're gonna that's going to be its own separate episode. Yeah. And then, obviously, we'll do Living Daylights, License to Kill.
Which,
those ones I straight up got to rewatch.
I'd have to rewatch them, too, because I don't even think I remember watching them as a kid.
I have them on tape, so I can loan to you.
But yeah, guys, that's probably going to tackle it for this one. Next time we do come back,
we're going to finally review Miss Marvel.
Yeah, which will probably be a much more positive review.
Yeah.
But until then, guys, I'm 00 Stash.
I'm all saying that nickname. I'm Average Joe Squad.
And as always,
we ask you
to never say never again.
And take care. And don't watch Octopussy.
Oh, they're best. Losers always go on about how they did their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen.
That's not even a fucking Bond movie, but you know what? We're going to end it on that note.